Hi, this is Randy Kirk, and today we're going to talk about yet another way that potentially Tesla can position itself to sell more cars in this recessionary year. At least this will be for the United States. This will not help in Europe, won't help in Shanghai and China, but it will help in the United States. So let's take a look. There's a whole bunch of folks right now debating in the Tesla community on Twitter and complaining about this and complaining about that. And one of the complaints is that there is not yet a $30,000 or a $25,000 compact or crossover car of some kind to compete in that price range. And we certainly understand that this is a very important price range. And Elon has said over and over and over again that he believes that he needs to be in that price range and will eventually get there. But I'm going to make the argument that is not that surprising that in 2023 in the United States, because of the IRA and because of a couple of other factors, that quite frankly, Tesla will be competing or can be competing in the $20,000 to $30,000 price range. So let's take a look. So number one, we have the Model 3, which currently sells at $47,000 in the United States. And we know that the Model Y made in Austin probably costs less in terms of cost of goods than the Model 3 made in Fremont. Certainly, they've talked about in the past that it was very little more to make a Model Y than to make a Model 3. And because the Model Y in Austin is being made with more efficient methodologies, we don't need to go into all of that, but because it's the upgraded plant and better manufacturing capabilities, I'm going to suggest it's certainly around the same price. So we'll just say that the Model Y should sell for about $5,000 more rather than the current wider gap that exists. So we'll use that as our assumption. Now, it potentially could sell for $3,000 more, which would make it even less expensive in this discussion we're going to have today. All right. So that's our starting point. We're at $47,000 for the Model 3 and $52,000 for the Model Y. Okay, now we subtract the $7,500. Yes, there's going to be some people that won't take advantage of the $7,500, but the vast majority of folks looking for a car next year in this price category will get the $7,500 deduction. So this gives us a $39,500 price for the Model 3 and $44,500 for the Model Y. We're already getting into some pretty good pricing categories in terms of affordability, but it gets way better. The IRA also gives a $35 per kilowatt hour break in the manufacturing of batteries. Now, Tesla is already making batteries in Fremont on the pilot line. They're making batteries in the Austin facility. They just crossed the point at which they are able to make enough batteries for 1,000 cars per week, and they are ramping now at a pretty good clip. There's a bunch of discussion about whether or not Panasonic's batteries that are being made for Tesla in the Reno facility are going to get this $35 per kilowatt hour. A, the contract seems to imply that they are, but B, let's assume that Tesla and Panasonic, if the contract doesn't say that Tesla and Panasonic are definitely going to have a conversation where Tesla is going to get some of, if not all of that $35 tax advantage in terms of lower cost from Panasonic. So one way or the other, we're going to assume for this particular analysis that they're getting that $35. Now, in the IRA, there is investment. By the way, that's the Inflation Reduction Act, oddly named, but let's just call it that. So we do know that there's also another $10 per kilowatt hour that applies to the putting of the batteries into a pack. And clearly, for cars made in the United States, this will apply to Tesla, and they will get that amount. So we know that on the least expensive car that Tesla's going to make, they probably are going to have 50 to 65 kilowatt hour packs. We'll use the 50 we'll just be really conservative. A $500 savings for the pack and $1,750 for the batteries, a combination of $2,250 for both. And there, if we want to keep 30% margins, let's go to that'd be roughly 3 times that, which would be 66. I'm just going to go with 60. We'll say we won't even give it all away. We'll keep our margins even a little higher. So let's just go to $6,000 savings for that. If you take that $6,000 now and you apply it to our last number, you would now have a $33,000 Model 3 and a $28,500 Model Y. So what you're excuse me just a second. So what if we take that and look at it just slightly differently, the actual sticker is 6,000 less, or 41,000 for the Model 3 and 46,000 for the Model Y, before you take off the 7,500 to get to the numbers I just gave you. But even at these numbers, even at 33,500 for the Model 3, it still isn't fair to directly compare an ICE car with a BEV car. It just isn't. So I'm just going to use a 6-year cost analysis for the savings in gasoline versus electricity and the savings in terms of the maintenance and repairs that would be made over that time. And we're going to say it's $6,000 for the cost of the gasoline savings and $3,000 for cost of repairs. I think this is, again, very conservative. So we have a total of $9,000 in savings over that 6-year period. Why 6 years? The average lease. Yeah, I mean, sorry, not lease, the average loan period is 6 years. Some people do 5 years, but the average today is probably closer to 6. So a 6-year loan, 6 years of savings, we're going to call that $9,000. Well, now, if you want to look at an equivalent car and you're saying, okay, here's an equivalent car in the ICE range, it would have to, in order to compete directly with Tesla, we'd be looking at $25,000 for the Model 3 and $31,500 for the Model Y. Do you know any $25,000 car on the market today that has a hope of comparing to the Model 3? I mean, even close in safety, in performance, in speed. I mean, 0 to 60, whatever. I mean, in luxuriousness, in just a overall appeal, in all of the new cool stuff that goes into a Tesla in terms of being a computer on wheels and all of the capabilities and the ability to upgrade as you go along because of over-the-air updates. A $25,500 Tesla Model 3 or a $31,500 Model Y. Now remember, this is full margins. These are full margins, no reduction in margins at all. You want to give a little reduction in margins, now you got a Model Y under $30,000. You don't think that's going to sell out every possible car they can make in America in 2023? Pick the argument. I'm up for it. Go ahead and let me know if you think that there's something wrong with what I've just said. This is Randy Kirk, been great talking to you. Please please absolutely subscribe. The subscribers are going just like this. So subscribe, you're going to get more content like this. See you next time.